lesson. Today we're going to look at each, and that is the pronoun. So a subsidiary of the noun is the pronoun, and as soon as the slides load up, there they are. We'll take a closer look at what exactly are pronouns, and we'll go over some important rules as far as using pronouns. So what are pronouns? Pronouns are words that take the place of nouns. So they are words that can substitute for nouns. Why do we use pronouns? Well, by using pronouns, the writer or the speaker avoids repeating nouns in the same sentence or in the same group of sentences. So it helps us to avoid repetition. You know, sometimes repetition can make speech or writing sound very clunky or confusing or needlessly repetitive. And so pronouns help us write and speak in clearer, crisper sentences by allowing us to substitute for earlier nouns. So let's take a look at an example, a couple of sentences expressing a couple of different ideas. So in this example, these two sentences right here, Wheaton North High School is in DuPage County, Illinois, period. Wheaton North High School is best known for the amazing Wheaton North English classes. Now, there's not anything technically wrong with those sentences or grammatically incorrect with those sentences, but I think that you'll agree that just taking a quick look at those two sentences, that it's fairly clunky and awkward in its composition, and that is because the subject noun, Wheaton North or Wheaton North High School, is used 3 times in those two very short sentences. And so what pronouns help us do is avoid that kind of awkward repetition. So let's look at a corrected version, or an improved version rather, using pronouns. Okay, so with pronouns we have Wheaton North High School is in DuPage County, Illinois, period. It is best known for its amazing English classes. Okay, so you can see the pronoun it is standing in for Wheaton North High School, okay, in 2 different senses in that subject. So both, or in the second sentence rather, so both as a subject, it is best known for its amazing English classes. So you see it used as both a subject and also in the possessive, its amazing English classes. And we'll talk about those different types of pronouns that you can use. Okay, so the different types of pronouns. There are 6 general different types that we'll quickly go over. So first up we have the personal pronoun. The personal pronoun refers to specific people. Personal pronouns include such words as I, you, he, she, it, they, him, her, and them. So you see both singular cases, such as the first person subject I, or the second person singular you, and you see plural cases of the personal pronoun, such as they and them. Okay, but personal pronouns refer or stand in for specific people. They are the opposite of indefinite pronouns. So indefinite pronouns refer to non-specific people or things. So general people or things. Include such pronouns as everyone, everything, someone, anyone, and anybody. So when you're talking in a general sense and using pronouns to refer to non-specific people or things, those are indefinite pronouns. The third type of pronouns are possessive pronouns. So possessive pronouns do exactly what they say. They show possession or ownership. So some examples of possessive pronouns are his, hers, its, ours, and theirs. So you can see, once again, both singular cases, such as his or hers, and plural cases, ours and theirs. But possessive pronouns show ownership. Next up, we have demonstrative pronouns. So what is a demonstrative pronoun? A demonstrative pronoun refers the reader or the listener to previous references. So something that has been referred to earlier, okay, is replaced by a demonstrative pronoun. So these are the TH pronouns. So words such as that, those, these, and this are demonstrative pronouns. Next up, we have interrogative pronouns. Interrogative pronouns introduce questions. So these are the WH pronouns. So who and whom, and we'll talk about when to use who and when to use whom in a moment, because that is a commonly asked grammatical question. And also what, which, and whose. So these WH words that introduce questions, okay, are known as interrogative pronouns. And the last type of pronoun that we'll look at, we're getting into a little bit more complex ideas about sentence construction, but we have relative pronouns. So what are relative pronouns? Relative pronouns join a dependent clause to the main clause of a sentence and describe a previous noun or pronoun. Okay, so words that, or rather pronouns that join dependent clauses to a main clause of a sentence and describe the previous noun or pronoun. Okay, so pronouns such as who, which, that, and whose. Those are dependent or relative pronouns. They are describing something from an earlier part of the same sentence. Okay, so we'll look at some different rules for composition and sentence construction as far as using pronouns. But I think you'll find that it is pretty straightforward with just some few simple rules to follow in your own composition and construction. So if you need to, at this point in the video, go ahead, feel free to hit pause and make sure that you have these different types of pronouns noted in your notes. So speaking of sentence construction, I want to talk about how pronouns function in a sentence. So pronouns can work as both the subjects and objects of a sentence. So what do we mean by subjects and objects? Well, a subject of a sentence is the actor of a sentence. It is the person or thing that is doing or acting in a sentence. And an object is the person or thing that is being acted upon. So every sentence requires a subject and a corresponding predicate. So every sentence will have a subject, and that subject can be a pronoun, and we'll take a look at subject pronouns in a minute. As far as objects go, not every sentence will have an object. Sentences do not require having objects. However, it's very common in a sentence that you do see objects, something or someone that is being acted upon. And there are corresponding pronouns that can function as objects. So taking a look at this chart, okay, we have a chart with two columns, and on the left-hand side, we have subject pronouns. So pronouns that can function as the agent or the actor of a sentence. So we have the first person subject pronoun, I, referring to myself. Okay, we have we, collective pronoun. We have he, she, and it being a gender neutral third person pronoun. We have the second person pronoun, you. We also have third person plural, they, and we have the interrogative, who. So I, we, he, she, it, you, they, and who can all function as subjects of a sentence. On the right-hand column, we have our object pronouns. So a person or a thing or people or things that are being acted upon. Notice that we have both singular cases as well as plural cases. So me, us, you, him, her, it, them, and whom are all object pronouns. You'll probably notice that there is a little bit of crossover between two columns. You, for example, can function as both a subject and an object of a sentence, depending on the context of that sentence. And the same for the gender neutral third person, it. But you'll notice the other object pronouns can only function as the objects and never as the subject. Okay, so me, us, him, her, them, and whom can only be used as objects. If you tried to use one of those pronouns as a subject, well, it would sound awfully foolish. Okay, so once again, make sure that you get this column in your notes and that you're able to distinguish between subject pronouns and object pronouns. And that leads us to one of those commonly asked grammatical questions, and that is, when do we use who and when is it correct to use whom? Often people make the mistake of incorrectly using whom because they think it makes them sound more formal or more correct or more grammatical. And in reality, there's a very straightforward rule to follow when it comes to using who and whom. So we use who for a subject, and we use whom as an object, okay? And no exception for this rule. So an important rule to know, make sure you have this in your notes. We use who for a subject, and we use whom for an object. Let's take a look at some examples. So who is calling me at this hour is a correct usage of the subject pronoun who. Okay, so who is doing the action of this sentence? What is the action of the sentence? Calling. Notice that there is the object pronoun me. Okay, so I am being acted upon in this sentence. Okay, but who is the actor? This unknown person. Who is calling me? Okay, so it would be incorrect to say whom is calling me at this hour. It would be correct to say who is calling me at this hour. Another example, to whom am I speaking? So notice that the subject noun in that sentence is the first person singular I. I am doing the action. What is the action that I am doing? I am speaking. Okay, the object, the thing that is being acted upon is the other person. So the correct usage, because it is an object, is whom. So to whom am I speaking is correct. So once again, this important rule, very straightforward, commonly used incorrectly, but really is a pretty simple rule to follow. We use who for a subject and whom as an object. Another important thing I want to talk about is this idea of pronoun antecedent. So what do we mean by antecedent? First, we have to define this word. So antecedent is the noun that precedes a pronoun. So the word that a pronoun is replacing is its antecedent. And a good way to remember that is that the Latin prefix ante, A-N-T-E, means before. Okay, so the noun that comes before a pronoun, we refer to it as its antecedent. Okay, so the pronoun substitutes for the antecedent. It is the noun that the pronoun is replacing. So taking a look at a sample sentence, and this is grammatically correct. You need to go to the post office now because it closes at 6. Okay, so what is the antecedent and what is the pronoun of this sentence? Well, the pronoun we see in the second half of the sentence is it. Okay, what is it replacing? It is replacing post office. So the antecedent, the noun that precedes the pronoun or is later replaced by the pronoun, is post office. And notice that the post office is singular, it's gender neutral, so the corresponding pronoun is it. You need to go to the post office now because it closes at 6. So that brings us to a very important rule for composition. And that rule is this. Notice that I have put it in big, bold, red letters, and I've starred it. So make sure that you have this in your notes. An important rule to follow for speech and composition. A pronoun and its antecedent must agree in number. Okay, so what do I mean by that? What do we mean by agreement? Pronoun antecedent agreement. Well, very simply, a singular noun that is replaced by a pronoun must be replaced by a singular pronoun. Okay, conversely, or similarly rather, a plural noun, if you are going to replace it with a pronoun, must be replaced by a plural pronoun. And if you look at the sentence, okay, at the top of the slide, a pronoun and its antecedent must agree in number. You'll notice that that is an example of pronoun antecedent agreement. So what is the pronoun in that sentence? The pronoun is its, the possessive its. And what is its replacing? It is replacing pronoun. Okay, so we have the neutral singular noun of pronoun being replaced by the neutral singular pronoun of its. So one important thing to keep in mind as we construct our own sentences is that when we use pronouns, they must agree with the nouns that they are replacing. Okay, so taking a look at an example of an incorrect sentence, a sentence that demonstrates pronoun antecedent disagreement. Okay, I talked to my friend earlier and they might be coming over later. Okay, so notice that the pronoun in the second clause of that sentence is they. And what is they replacing? My friend. So why is that problematic? Why is that grammatically incorrect? Well, they stands for plural. Okay, so they is a plural pronoun. It stands for more than one. Okay, but notice my friend is singular. My friend refers to a single person, or refers to one person. And so while this is a sentence that we may be comfortable speaking in everyday informal, casual conversation, I talked to my friend earlier and they might be coming over later, it is grammatically incorrect. And there's an easy fix for this once we recognize that there is pronoun antecedent disagreement. Okay, so a corrected version would be, I talked to my friend earlier and she might be coming over later. So now we have a singular pronoun replacing a singular antecedent. My friend, a single person. She, a single person. So important grammatical rule to keep in mind, something that we're going to be paying close attention to in our own writing, is pronoun antecedent agreement. And so if you see, for example, in an essay or a journal entry that you submit, if I've highlighted something or a specific sentence and I comment pronoun antecedent disagreement, this is the rule that has been violated and that you need to correct. Okay, so to summarize our brief lesson on pronouns. So what are pronouns? Pronouns are words that take the place of nouns. They are words that substitute for earlier nouns that have been referred to. We looked at 6 different types of pronouns. We saw that there are singular as well as plural pronouns. We also saw that there are subject and object pronouns. So pronouns can function in a variety of ways depending on the context, but there are some pronouns that can only function as subjects, and there are other pronouns that can only function as objects. And so it's important that you're able to distinguish between the two. We talked quickly about the difference between who and whom. So who we use as a subject and whom is used as an object of a sentence, an important grammatical usage rule to follow. And then we talked lastly about pronoun antecedent agreement. So a pronoun and its antecedent must agree in number. So singular pronouns must be replacing singular antecedents, and plural pronouns must replace plural antecedents. And that is pretty much our lesson for today. At our next meeting, we'll do some practice with identifying and using pronouns, but these grammatical rules that we have reviewed are something that we are going to constantly revisit throughout the semester.